Joining us now on the guest line, United States Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith. Senator, how are you doing this morning?
Good morning, Dave. We are doing well. Been extremely busy, as you can imagine, fielding a lot of phone calls. We related to Ida, and here where I live in Brookhaven, we've got still long gas lines and no bread on the shelves, and people following the bread truck around. So we've got a lot of Louisiana evacuees here in Brookhaven. So we're just busy and just appreciate the opportunity to be with you this morning.
Most definitely, and I was talking about it earlier because, as you know, I wrote it out at my house in Pike County, just right to the south there. And we do have a lot of guests. We have company right now, and we need to show them that Mississippi hospitality.
Absolutely, and I've seen so many acts of kindness of people just bringing folks in that are off the interstate, sitting in parking lots and delivering things to them. But it is kind of strange to see all those Louisiana tags in our area, but we are treating them well and providing things for them, and because we know, the position they're in. We've been there before, but just glad that Mississippi fared as well as we did with the hurricane, but certainly have, a nice obligation that we don't mind at all to help out our neighbors.
Now, obviously, we're focused on the impacts from Ida here in Mississippi and, of course, in Louisiana as well. But the story continues to unfold. We've got a lot of impacts up in the northeast portion of the United States from Ida as well. In your opinion, is this going to take a larger federal response than we might have expected?
Well, we really don't know what we're anticipating until all the assessments are done. But I was watching the senators that I served with in New York, talk about the damage that they have from the flooding and things that came on board on that eastern seaboard up there, that it is just amazing, that some of their death tolls are higher than ours. But this storm was a ravaged storm, Category 4 storm. And we knew that we would have a lot of damage, but up the East Coast, it was more than I anticipated.
And I think it was more than anyone could have anticipated. So it's something that, as I said, is continuing to unfold. But I think in the coming weeks, we're going to realize damage-wise, in terms of amount, this is probably going to be worse than Katrina was when you add everything up from around the country.
Yeah, it is going to be extensive, there's no doubt. And the FEMA administrator, Criswell, that we confirmed just recently in the U.S. Senate, she's toured the impact of the region, of the state, and, she's currently working with our governor. They're having to do that, in many states because of the damage this storm has caused. But the assessment's not quite over. And I certainly encourage anybody to report any and all damages they have in their counties, around them, and that we can, get these things processed in order for MEMA to validate them, but also that FEMA can get their information. We've got a lot of rain. We've got a lot of damage, not only to structure, but, we've got agricultural damage. And we're just standing by ready to, work to make sure that we can get things out that we need to get out for the support of the losses that they've incurred through this storm. But it is expensive. It's extensive, and we've got a big job to do as we normally do after a storm. We've got a lot of cleaning up to do, but we've got a lot of government funds that we need to assess the dollar amount to see how we can adequately address this.
President Biden is supposed to be in Louisiana today to survey the damage, supposedly, and check on things down there. Do you? And I know he's doing this, and it needs to be done, and good for him for doing this. But do you think he's almost relieved that he can deal with something that doesn't have the word Afghanistan in it right now?
Well, it sure is a different type of decision-making process now that, the debacle that we've been in there. And I was actually supposed to fly and survey the damage yesterday with the Coast Guard, but they were needing the aircraft for rescue missions, and I immediately said, by all means, I can do this at any time and plan to do this in the coming days, but it's still, so soon after the storm that I'm really, really glad the president is down here doing this, and because we need as much help as we can possibly get to address these severe needs. And, we'll all have the opportunity to do it, but I feel sure that he's probably glad to have a change of conversation.
I would think so, and I got tickled when you referred to it as a different type of decision-making process. That's the understatement of the year, Senator. Was there a decision-making process when it came to Afghanistan, or did we just kind of play it by ear?
I've been so frustrated. I was part of several senators that, we issued last April the heed at the highest levels of government that, the warning that the withdrawal of the personnel from Afghanistan and specifically the manner in which we do it was just, it had to be considered, just everything, the dangers to our national security interest and the troops, the allies. That was a long, long weekend for me, going through, talking to people literally on the ground in Afghanistan, getting more familiar with the Kabul airport than I ever thought I would be, just looking at getting Americans out, getting folks out of there. Our office fielded hundreds of calls of Americans and Afghan allies, trying to get out of Afghanistan, but being on the phone, talking to these people that I've never met before, and trying to maneuver the safety for them to be able to exit. And, it's just damaged, Dave. It's just damaged our international standing. It's left Americans and just handed Afghanistan back to the Islamic extremists whose ambitions could again threaten us here at home. I just think it was a disastrous withdrawal, and I think it's just caused global and strategic losses that, it will be for years to resonate, for years to come. And I cannot imagine that the Biden administration, the faith that they have placed, saying that we might work with the Taliban again, I'm infuriated at this. But that is certainly something that we're going to have to continue to just to try to find some answers there. But President Biden did more than stumble over his own feet in this situation. I can assure you, it has put us in a horrible position, and so many of us saw it coming. That's the most frustrating part, is you can't do it the way you're planning to do it, and it happened anyway.
Well, the thing that I think infuriated me the most out of this entire thing was in a 24-hour period while this was unfolding a couple of weeks ago, we had our Secretary of Defense answer a question in a press conference and say that we did not have the capability to go out into Kabul and round up American citizens and bring them to the airport. And the very next day, British Special Forces went out into Kabul and rounded up Americans and brought them to the airport, which to me just magnified how humiliating this is for America. Well put.
You are exactly right. We could have gone in there and done that. But again, that has been the biggest debacle. It was so poorly executed and did not have to be. So I can assure you there's a lot of frustration inside the Beltway right now, the way this was handled. But, we've just got to focus on making sure that from now on that we can be as involved as we possibly can be in trying to get through to this administration, that you've got to listen to all sides. You've got to listen to everybody that is trying to give you information that's competent, that is well-versed, that has experience of doing this. And, my heart just goes out to the families of those 13 U.S. service members and those innocent civilians killed.
Senator, we're up against the break. Can you hang on through the break?
Absolutely.
Talking with Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith on the guest line. And right before the break, I hated to interrupt you, but we were coming up and I wanted you to have the chance to expand on that. Talking about our servicemen that lost their lives. There have been so many things about this Afghanistan debacle, and that word fits this situation more than any I've seen in a while. But there have been so many things that have been so frustrating that have eroded our confidence in even the possibility of things working out well in Washington and the Biden administration. What can be done about this, Senator?
Well, I am among a majority of senators, including Republicans and Democrats, demanding answers from President Joe Biden on how he and his administration handled this. You know, we will methodically go through every piece of the process of exactly how this went down, and we are going to hold them accountable for this. That, you can't just say, well, we call this a success. Are you kidding me? We call this a success? I just get so infuriated, Dave. But we are demanding answers. We are demanding that people come through and we go through each detail and how badly this was handled. And that's the most that we can do right now is bring them in. Let's look at it and hopefully let them see this was totally horribly handled. And I'm ready to get back to get those answers. I can assure you that.
Well, and I think that's part of the frustration, Senator, is that for the longest time, when something goes horribly wrong, there are two standards. President Trump was impeached over just ridiculous things and continuously held accountable in every possible way. Now we have a Democratic president, and I think people want more than just we're going to get answers. I think they want some kind of action taken. And I know Senator Mitch McConnell came out and said that there would not be an impeachment. That wasn't going to happen. But people want something to happen out of this other than just, oh, you shouldn't do that, bad boy. Do we have any avenues for anything to happen here?
Well, Dave, as you well know, the process would have to start in the House for an impeachment. That's where it starts. And Nancy Pelosi is just not going to allow that to happen. I mean, so the reality is, because of how the process works, a lot of us would love to start this process, but those that are in control and those that have the authority to do it are just absolutely going to stand behind President Biden, and it's not going to happen because we don't have the means to make it happen since it does start in the House. And I just don't see a scenario where this Congress, which the Democrats run, will ever impeach President Biden.
Well, that's true. Of course, we do have the midterms coming up next year, which might change the lay of the land in Congress. It certainly looks that way with his current approval ratings and the way things are going, but a year is a long time. We don't know what it's going to look like next year.
That's exactly right. And, boy, we are working hard right now. We are working so hard to get the majority back, and there's so many states that, it is doable. We have to just simply get out there, play our cards right, be smart about this, and support some really good candidates to make sure that they do win. Georgia's prime example. Georgia's normally a 52-48 state. We have 2 Democratic senators from Georgia. So I am getting very involved. I am going to wherever I can go because we've got to correct this situation and get Republicans in control so the things that can happen, the processes there will at least be ran by the Republican Party.
Thought that was a nice touch. Did you plan that with the motivational bells in the background? That was good. I like that.
I did not. Thank you. Those are chimes going off from the clock.
Oh, very nice. Very beautiful chimes. I thought you planned it. I was like, man, the senator is on the ball here today. Well, we have a lot on our plate right now, and it seems like every week that comes along, we have something else on our plate. And all we can hope for right now is that we don't have another misstep by the Biden administration at the level that we saw with Afghanistan. I saw where this morning the White House put out a notice for everyone to be on the alert for cyber terrorist attacks this weekend. I have a feeling we're going to start seeing more of those kind of alerts, specifically because of what happened with our withdrawal.
Oh, yes, no doubt. And, I mean, nobody's talking about the southern border right now. Nobody is talking about how many hundreds could be walking across this moment. And, you know, we're in a very vulnerable position, in my opinion, that, you know, because of the things that have happened in Afghanistan, and you're going to see a lot of alerts coming up, and, you know, we're just going to have to proceed with caution of extreme.
Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith, we appreciate your time this morning.